Ghost in an Abandoned House. Based on the title, this might sound fake and all, but I have no clue what to actually name what we saw. For some context, I was maybe around 10 or 11, and I was staying at my cousin's house for the week. My cousin lives in a pretty small area with farmland surrounding them. One of those fields has a house that was locked. Everything was locked. Back door, windows, etc. Everything. If that wasn't already bad enough, the only thing that wasn't locked was the garage door. It was somewhat open. None of us could fit under it though, so we explored the outside and set the driveway as a little hangout spot since it was the easiest spot for our other friends to get to. We always made dumb ghost stories and explored the backyard since their fence gate was broken. The backyard had a shed that looked very, and I mean very old. It was sealed shut so we could never open it. The only thing that I could describe that shed is the fact it had a very disgusting smell coming from it. It smelled so bad it made some of our friends actually puke, including me. But with our dumb little minds one day, we decided to get inside. We couldn't get inside through any of the windows because we were way too small. We could barely even see inside the house through the windows. So we went through the front door. I already said the entire house was locked, but the door was old and the lock on it looked busted. So we took our chances and kicked the door down. It was already a stupid idea for us to do, but we got it off after 2 days of us throwing stuff, kicking it, slamming out bodies into it. It wasn't like completely off though, we just broke it enough where we could squeeze in. Once we were inside, we started to explore, looking for anything cool, spooky, that we always thought was inside. I ended up parting away from my friends and my cousin and went into this one room. It had wallpaper falling off, the fan and light were on the floor broken, and the door wouldn't budge. The closet was shut with a somewhat broken mirror on it. That was the room that started it all. The only thing it had in it was a chair. It was a wooden rocking chair. Looked straight out of a horror movie, but it started a joke in our friend group. We always made jokes about whoever dared to sit in it would be possessed, etc. Dumb kid stuff, you know? Anyway, we started exploring again. Didn't really find anything interesting. Only thing that was interesting was the chair. I went back to the room and just stared at the chair. I didn't know what else to do. I was too scared to go near it or pick it up. I didn't want to touch it. It gave me a weird feeling, not like being watched or anything. It just made me feel off. It made me feel like I was sitting in a different universe. After a bit of us goofing off, we went back home. It was sunset and we wanted to go home to not worry our parents. But my cousin stopped on our way home and pulled her phone out. She sent a text and turned around. I was confused and asked her what she was doing, in which she said she left something in the house and wanted to get it. I didn't like that idea, but I had no clue where home was and had to follow her. Once we got back in, I looked up at one of the windows and the only thing I saw was a figure. It didn't really look like it had any eyes or anything, but as soon as I pointed it out to my cousin, it was gone. It might have been just my eyes messing with me, but I was already spooked enough and didn't want to go inside. But I also didn't want to stay outside. I was in an area I didn't know and it was starting to get dark, and my cousin was the only one with a light. Once we got in, I got this feeling that I was being watched. It felt like I had a million eyes on me, which my cousin also agreed to. She took us straight to the room I didn't want to be near, the only room that had something in it. She said she wanted to take a picture of the chair and everything, but once we got there, I was freaking out. It sounded like someone was scraping nails on the wall. I had no clue where the sound was coming from, but it sounded like it was just getting closer. Once we got into the room and she got the picture, we turned to leave. That's when, out of the corner of my eye, I saw the same black figure. This time it actually had eyes. Wasn't red or white eyes, but just pitch black eyes. It looked like we were staring into a black hole. I knew my cousin could see it since she was freaking out. Her phone light went out, and all I heard was the sounds of running coming from the direction we saw the figure. We bolted. I never ran so fast in my life. It felt like if I didn't get out, I would be done for, so we ran. To me, it felt like we ran for ages. It felt like the exit out was so far away. I saw my cousin bolt out, in which I scrambled to get out. I already had a hard enough time getting in without panicking. Once I got out, we bolted home. The only thing we could do was run. We just wanted to go home. Sadly, it didn't just stop there. When we were home, I kept having a bunch of nightmares, and the window in my cousin's room that looked straight into one of the fields. Whenever we looked out, we kept seeing the same figure, still staring at us with the same black eyes. After a bit, it finally spot. I stopped having nightmares and we stopped seeing the figure. This may sound stupid and all, and everything might have been just a play on our minds and eyes, but it creeped me the hell out. If I think of that place, almost everything looks like a blur, but that room and that goddamn chair is the only thing I can remember what it looks like.